Yeah, basically our business is located in Cedar Falls, Iowa. It was a business that was started by my father, Ralph Ulrich, about 20 some years ago, I guess. But he'd been involved in the building trade business for probably 20 years before that as a salesman. It came down to he wanted to, basically the company he was selling for could not fill up to their obligations, and so we decided to start our own business. Started out where we were using subcontractors, but there again, after a couple of years, we weren't satisfied with the work that was being done and the commitment to our customers, so we started our own crews, which basically that's where I started out was, and still am to this day, as far as I'm on the framing crew, working every day and taking care of my customers. Big part about, like I say, our product is trying to achieve the best products available, whether it's from the poles we use to the lumber. We just don't go to somebody's lumber yard and purchase a product and then put our name on the end of it. We get products in from Ohio, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Alabama. Like I say, we try to research and find the best product out there that we can to, how should I say, achieve the best product for our customers. So, well, I started out as a farm boy. I still am a farm boy, but I guess I enjoy being outside for one, and I guess the satisfaction that I get is, so if you've panned out across here, there's nothing here but dirt and grass. Within a few days, there's gonna be a structure. And that's kind of what I love. I mean, to see that within a short period of time, we can make something happen, And the first building I built with my father and another guy, it took us 3 weeks to complete. 4 years ago, we built a similar sized building for somebody. It took us 3.5 days. So I've also how to fine tune, how to, be efficient, I guess, if you want to say. I never want to be called quick. I never want to be speedy. I want to be efficient, because to me, if you say somebody's quick or speedy, they cut corners. I don't want to cut corners. That's just not going to happen. And yes, I do enjoy going to meet somebody new, and how can we create their dream, and then when we're done, make them happy. The only complaint I hear from people years later is, we should have gone bigger. Well, everybody has a budget. So, you can start with a certain size that fits your means. Of course, we can always add on to it, but, like I say, it's important. And like I say, that's what I enjoy. I enjoy just the rapport with people, so.
So what sets you apart from some of the other builders that are out there, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I guess I'm going to say the people I have. The people I have understand that, my father always had this saying, it's going to be done right, or we're going to tear it down and start over again. I carry that belief basically to the fact that we're not going to leave a job that is not done correctly. I'm not going to pass something that is, I don't know if you want to use the phrase, haphazardly done. It will be done right. So the other part is, I guess how should I say, with our business, I don't feel a lot of pressure. You work with me, I'm going to work with you. We have had a wet spring. We hope to have been in here sooner, but there's nothing that you can control, nothing that I can control. So we basically work together on items. And there again, like I say, I'm a purchaser just like anybody else is. So there have been times where I've had customers ask, well, I wish I could move this door here. And I said, well, have I installed it yet? They go, well, no. And they said, well, when we bought a building 10 years ago, they charged us extra money to move this walk door. No, I mean, if that's what you want, if that's what's going to make your project better in the long run, that's what I want too, because I'm only here for a short period of time. This is going to be your building for years to come, and I want to make sure that every little detail we can get to is taken care of, and that, when I see you on the street 5 years from now, you say, hey, this is great. We're enjoying the building, we're using it a lot, I wish we would have done it sooner. And that's the things I like to hear, and that's a big part to me.
So what about the difference in materials? Is there a big difference in materials between what some contractors use and others?
Sure, absolutely there's. Basically, starting even from the poles I use here, some people are nailing their own poles together, and basically they're not glued, they're not finger jointed, they're not stainless steel nailed like these are and pressed together. They're air nailed basically at their shop. 6x6s have been used for many years. Problem with 6x6s, they can twist, they can warp, and if you ever cut one in half, they're not fully treated usually. So basically they can, in time, rot out, where these poles here, they're fully treated. You stagger the grain of the wood and you gain strength to it. That's one part. The steel's a big factor. There's a lot of people out there that think that steel is steel. What we use is a galvalume-based steel. A lot of people use a painted galvanized. The galvalume is a higher quality. There's different gauges, PSIs. I mean, we could go all day long as far as the pros and cons of a lot of different products, but I guess how I would say it, the belief I have is not all pole buildings are created equally. When you're willing to understand that, because price is not always the biggest factor. You got to look at the quality of the product. The walk door. The walk door is also a huge thing to me, because you can go buy a cheap door that's a wood frame, 8 to 10 years when it rots out. Now you say, golly, I want to put a steel frame one in. Well, it's the wrong size. It has to be reframed. It's going to cost you more money. Buy a good door to start with. Buy good steel. Buy a good product. And it's going to last you much, much longer. So, and sometimes people are understanding that. Then there's times where people don't understand it right away, but they do later on. But most times people build one building, so I kind of got one shot at it, and it's important to me.
So you've seen a lot of buildings. I know you do repair on some buildings, and you build a lot of new buildings. What are some of the common problems you see with some of the buildings that you've gone into, let's say, repair?
I guess from the bracing to the actual product that they're using. There are some companies out there that choose not to use a high quality post, I guess you want to say. The poles that we have here have a 60-year warranty to them. They're Southern Yellow Pine. They're glued, they're nailed, they're pressed together. I've seen failures where people have just air nailed poles together and the splices aren't glued. Like I say, bracing is a big part of the building. You want the building to hold itself, not to have the steel hold it. When there's companies that just rely on the steel only to hold the building, you're setting yourself up for failure. The building's going to move in time. That's when your doors don't work right, your windows don't work right. That's when you can achieve leaks to your building. Yeah, like I say, that's been a big part of it. Another big part too is the poles themselves. You can pour concrete around them as far as your floor goes, but you should never pour concrete around, dig the hole and set the post and pour concrete in the hole. Basically, that entombs the post will rot out sooner. I've come into a lot of buildings that were built in the 70s and 80s that the poles are rotted off right at that concrete line. So then we have to go in there and try to shore up the building and fix it. Best thing to do is put gravel back around so that way it drains, and like I said, that holds the building, holds it a lot better for you. It's very important to start out with a fairly level pad. That way you get your posts set the correct depth, and that way the dirt contractor can come in, whether it's you or a dirt contractor, can come in and get the pad level. You don't have to worry about trying to haul fill inside later and damaging the interior of your building, trying to pack it. It just makes things a lot quicker and a lot better product for you in the long run, I guess, if you want to say.
What are some of the tips that you would tell people if they're considering building like an arena and barn like we are? Because it was quite a process, planning it, designing it, that kind of stuff.
Well, first of all, I'm no horse expert, so I rely on what other people say. I relied on what the feedback I got from you guys. You want to make sure you build it big enough first, because the worst thing is to have your arena and not be able to comfortably, ride your horse. If you feel like you're churning all the time, is that going to be comfortable? Something I've been told over the years, you want to make sure it's tall enough so that way, if you would unfortunately get bucked off, you would not hit your head in the ceiling. A lot of little things like that. And you want to make sure you get the proper ventilation in there. I think we just spoke recently about proper placement of windows. I've heard stories of horses being spooked by looking out a window. So do we want to build it high enough? Those little things I want to ask in the beginning, because it's a lot easier to establish the window placement now, or after we have it built, the framework I should say, but I don't want to have the steel on and then, oh boy, we should have done this. Well, we can always change it, but it's better to do it the first time, and I just want to try to look ahead for you, whether it's 1 year or it's 10 years down the road. Did we design this so it's going to be usable for you and not a headache, I guess is what I want,
So we're going to be following this as you guys start to build. You've brought supplies out today. You've got the trusses out, a lot of other stuff out here. What's going to happen on day one with this project? Day one, we need to pick your 4 points, basically square the building up, and we're going to start digging holes. Basically what we do on the sidewalls, we're going to dig a hole that's 2 foot in diameter by about 5 foot deep. We put a precast pad in, we're going to set the poles on, and basically
get all the poles up in the air for you. Day 2, basically look at coming in here, getting in the sidewall girts, which basically that's what your steel is going to be attached to. And that's kind of the framework that holds the building all together. Day 3, probably finish that up, bracing, and then we'll be basically ready for trusses. So to do that, these are 60-foot wide trusses. They're 2-plied. I have a piece of equipment that could lift it, but for safety wise and efficiency, we usually get a crane in here and lift the trusses. It moves along a lot quicker, and like I say, it's safer for everybody. So
we've had a really, really wet spring here in Iowa and windy spring. What are some of the conditions that make it tough for you guys to do your work?
Well, for one, I guess to start with, when we start to dig the holes, if we find out we're digging into rock, basically I should be able to dig a hole within 2 minutes for you. I've had it be where if you're hitting a bunch of rock and to get to 20 minutes. And in the wintertime, it takes even longer. Why, unless you have to build a building in the winter, I don't know why anybody would want to. Everything just is so much slower, and just overnight the poles freeze in place. You can't move or adjust. But yes, wind is my biggest foe though. Basically when we set our poles, we use a string line. Well, if the wind's blowing that, then your poles aren't straight. Putting steel on can be a problem. That's the biggest problem. Because with a building like this, your steel is going to be approximately 33 foot long, and that's a long piece of steel to have the wind gusting on when we're 16 foot tall in the sidewalls, and we'll be up to almost 26 foot tall in the peaks. So.